Hi everybody, welcome to the South Australian Sports Show. Hope you can stay with us for the next hour. Plenty on the show. Eric Freeman's coming in to talk about his new book, going to be released in November. Hugh Purvis is in for a chat about what's happening in hockey in South Australia. Wayne Rudiger's in, good story. Lindsay Head interview to look at. And Libby Hopwood, of course, joins us with what's happening on the weekend in sport. Rob Popplestone joins me. Poppy, how are you?
I'm going okay. I'm probably going better than James Hird just at the minute. He's a few days on now, but Hird's probably fallen. I'm not sure whether he fell on his own sword or whether he got pushed, and maybe the truth will never be known, but he's been under enormous pressure for a long, long period of time, and I always thought that he'd see it right through, but it wasn't to be.
No, and it always looks that way, but you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Once you come on the back of big losses, so a 112-point loss to the Crows, that would have been the final pushing over the cliff.
Yeah.
But Lee Matthews also came out on the weekend in the paper and said, time for her to go. So you've got two things, big losses in a proud club like Essendon, so they're not going to wear those. There was a stat, though, that came out. The first 6 games of this season, Essendon were 3-3.
Yep.
Then the WADA decision came back out that they were going to go on with it and pursue it. They've gone 2-12 since that time. So you suspect that the players emotionally are spent.
Yeah.
I don't know if Hird can take all the blame. He's going to be the fall guy. Coaches always are.
Yep.
But I think on reflection that's got to be brought up at some stage in defending him.
They've had the club and Hird and the players have had the life sucked out of them. And you're right, the WADA decision, I think all of us thought, oh, just make it stop. We've all had enough of it. I would have thought, though, you wait to post-season. I mean, I don't know what's to be gained other than taking a little bit of pressure off the club from sacking a coach now. We've seen Malthouse go, one of the most respected. Hird, really, Essendon over the last few years, given the pressure they've been under, have performed admirably. We're talking about one real big loss, and I think the wheels have fallen off a couple of weeks ago. I think that they're doing a remarkable case just to keep it together in so many ways, remembering players like Watson and others have been out for periods of the season. So look, it's disappointing, but that's football, because it's always the coach that cops it, or more times than not, and life goes on, and maybe that might give the media something else to focus on.
All right, let's talk about the AFL deal that's about to be signed. $2 billion.
It sounded like you said but
$2 billion.
It's amazing, isn't it?
You don't want to spit it out because it's not million, it's $2 billion. In saying that, there's a couple of things. So everyone goes, well, that's fantastic. The AFL's set, so well done by the AFL. However, there's only one club. I've researched there's only one club that makes money, that doesn't owe money, and that's the Collingwood Footy Club.
Okay, fair enough.
So all the other clubs owe money. There's a debt at the moment of $100 million.
Wipe that off.
So they've got to wipe that off. But you know what happens, Poppy, and you have played. $2 billion, I'm a player. Gee, well, the players need to get together and get paid what they're worth, which fair enough. Then the coaches go, well, hang on a minute, there should be a bit in there for us.
Yes.
Then the staff go, well, hang on a minute, we're doing all the work, we need a bit. So suddenly that $2 billion gets chomped into fairly quickly. You're sitting on the top. What's your first decision?
Look, my first decision is get rid of debt, obviously. I think the game's in a good spot overall, given that you've got $2 billion worth of investment from the television network. That's the absolute key. If you go back a couple of decades ago, the football league, the VFL as we knew it, was almost on its last legs, but it was revitalised by the likes of Jackson, Oakley, and then Demetrio took it to another level, and now Gillon McLaughlin. I mean, they've done an enormous job, given that there's still a fair few problems with that league. GWS is starting to bob its head up. Gold Coast haven't done too much. Brisbane is a basket case at the moment, which means, therefore, that Queensland is got a lot of work to do. I reckon the jury's still out. I think greed will always be the downfall of any person or any competition, and you're going to have to fight it off with a big stick at the minute.
All right, we've only got a couple of minutes left. Let's talk about Crows versus Essendon. Crows 112-point winner, so Dangerfield's suddenly speculation that he could be in the running for a Brownlow. How do you see him?
You probably, he's been very good in the last 4 or 5 weeks, hasn't he? Really, since the tragedy of Phil Walsh, he's lifted to a new level, and some players were always going to do that. Fife we haven't seen much of. Has Fife done enough to win it in the first 12 to 15 weeks? Probably, but I tell you what, on Brownlow Medal Night, there's going to be some players coming home real hard. He's one, Pritis is another, and because you don't get, remember, there's 3 votes to be got in every single match every weekend, so Fife can get no more or no less. But the fact he's on the sidelines means the gap's going to be a whole lot closer. All right, just quickly, there's been a lot of speculation about Paddy Dangerfield. I've had from fairly strong sources now. He's about to sign a 5-year contract with Geelong. He can't sign it until the season's over. He couldn't do that.
My understanding is, I'm just bringing it up Poppy. There's always been a lot of rumour.
Well, the thing is with you, you're so well connected down Crows that you wouldn't be saying that unless you know something.
I don't. I'm just saying that my sources in Melbourne...
Well, you don't make things up.
My sources in Melbourne say that he's going to announce a 5-year deal at the end of the year. So
that would be a tragedy for the Crows.
All right, quickly, they play Brisbane at Adelaide Oval
They win by 100 points.
All right, the only way they can lose if something happens, they're locked outside the gate.
And the only way that Port Adelaide can make the 8 is if they do lose and they beat Hawthorn.
Port Adelaide, Greater Western Sydney had a lot in it, the game, had everything, had some spite, had some aggression, had some great moments of footy. Mathematically, you've been telling me the Power can make it.
They
mathematically, they can win the lotto tonight too. So,
yeah. I've got a better chance of winning the lotto, but or Powerball. But you know what? They showed some fight, and that's all you can ask for.
Big game for them Friday night. Of course, they're on the Friday night stage up against Hawthorn. Etihad. Are they a chance?
I don't think they're any chance at all. In fact, the fact that they beat them early on in the season might come back to haunt them at Etihad, I would have thought.
All right, stay with us. Plenty to come on the show. Eric Freeman, his new book, his story, a cricketer and a footballer at the highest level. Look forward to chatting with him. Hope you can stay with us.